everyone. I'm being joined here by Colman Domingo, the lead actor for the new film, Rustin. Colman, it feels so good to be able to see you out and about on the campaign trail. I saw you the other day here in New York, and I cannot tell you enough how happy I am to finally see you being able to hear responses to this film, especially for your performance. It's a truly, truly very powerful and charismatic work that you've done here, bringing Bayard Rustin's story to the screen.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I really
So we've been following your career now for quite a while. You're a hardworking actor who has been in a variety of different projects. Would you say that this was, on the film level, the biggest undertaking that you have had to do as an actor?
Absolutely, in every single way. It's a monumental role. It requires so much of you. I mean, when it comes not only the research, because it's based on a real, live, breathing human being who was marginalized in history books. So you know, who was a dear friend and close advisor to Martin Luther King, but also this character has a lot of size in many ways. I think that he's, you know, he was a Quaker and born and raised a Quaker, and he was a young communist, and he spoke with a mid-Atlantic standard accent of his own making. And he played the lute, and he sang in a tenor voice Elizabethan love songs. There was a lot of preparation that I needed for him. And then to also, I believe it was 138 pages of the script, I'm on 135 of them. so that I know that would be very demanding of my mind, body, and spirit. And I just wanted to make sure that I was really in tune every single day to get the job done.
Now, who were you able to consult that was still around from this era for this? Because I imagine in your research, you probably talked to some people, I imagine, right?
Yeah, I did. Specifically with this, I had a few conversations with Rochelle Horowitz, who's also featured in the film. Rochelle, who when she was 19 years old, she organized transportation for the March on Washington, and also had access to Walter Nagel, Bayard's partner for 10 years before his passing. And I was able to get some of the personal notes about him, which was really useful. The beautiful thing is I've been able to work in this time period for a few films, especially like Selma, where I had access to people like Andrew Young and John Lewis at the time, to ask them about, to fill my knowledge up about the timeline. So I guess I've been researching and working on this for many, many years, because I've had a lot inside me and stored in my arsenal in order to prepare me for this.
Absolutely. And as an out Black man, I'm curious to know, like, just in terms of the personal connection of playing somebody of this magnitude as well for yourself, I imagine there has to also be a great deal of weight and also a personal connection there for you as well when playing this role.
I think so. I think he's once I discovered Bayard Rustin when I was about a junior in college, when I was in the African American Student Union. And I stumbled upon his name through a conversation, and then there was more details about him, and I was really confused as why I had never heard of him. And then of course, when I found out because he was out at the time, that's exactly why he was so marginalized in the history books.
Yeah.
And I knew that this is, so he became one of my personal heroes in terms of like how he went into rooms as his full self at a time when truly it would cost him his life, his livelihood, his work, you name it. Yeah. He would absolutely be ostracized in every single way. But no one could deny that he was one of the smartest men in the room. They couldn't deny that he was the most excellent strategist and organizer that this country had ever known. So no one could deny that, and he didn't deny himself. So I feel like he's always been sort of a North Star for me in many ways, and of how to be in the world and not to let the fact that you're queer be a limitation. To just know it's just such a small part of who you are. It's about your thoughts, your ideals, your passion, your fire, your wit. There's so much more. And I think I think that that's where we're very akin in that way. I think that I don't walk into the room I walk into the room in every single way that I am. You know what I mean? And I don't leave anything behind. So I think that, and I've been met with that sort of love and embrace, because which is different than Bayard's journey. So I think that I'm sort of living out sort of my dreams, for him.
Yeah. Yeah. You worked now with George C. Wolfe a couple of times here. I think a lot of people will look back on Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and see how theatrical that production was and its staging. Here, obviously, it's a bit more opened up, of course. And so I want to know, though, how does his sensibilities as a stage director and as a film director kind of mesh to allow you to have creative freedom in your performance?
Well, George C. Wolfe at his greatest he is definitely an actor's director.
Mm-hmm.
He's a dream for actors because he makes sure that you have time to do your process. A lot of times on film sets, it's about the lighting department and camera department. Everyone else gets their time, and actors sort of get the short shrift. George makes sure that performance is first, and that comes from his years in the theater, where he doesn't mind, rehearsing for 3 full weeks, and that's full rehearsals for 3 weeks, and that's sitting at the table, looking at every nuance on every page, and making decisions together. So that's what's really unique about him. And then he also knows how to, I think that he's also had a journey of learning how to play in a cinematic space to allow things to breathe. I think that it's a beautiful thing, because I think he has so many excellent skills from the theater and just being a storyteller that I love that he still has a sense of theatricality in his work as a filmmaker. That makes him unique. I think that every filmmaker is different. I think it draws on his strengths to make it theatrical in many ways and to make it feel staged at times. So that's what I love, that he's that perfect combination.
Yeah, and you work opposite across from so many great actors in this film. It's really a really fantastic ensemble. Is there anyone in particular that you found yourself getting goosebumps working opposite aside in this movie?
There are 2 people. I would say if you get the opportunity to work with Audra McDonald, it's you're a little nervous, you're a little intimidated, because especially I've been a fan of hers for so many years. And just to be able to share, we had 2 scenes together. One was actually not in the film, but we had this beautiful dance together. She's so prepared and then so open. I just found that it was just really beautiful. All I had to do was really listen and respond with her. But that's what George filled the space with great theater actors. I also had Jeffrey Wright, who I've always been a long admirer of. And so, I think that we just go toe to toe and we have a nice dance together. I love characters who have figured out a lot of their backstory, and they're coming in with different gifts for you to play off of. And I feel like that's what I do as well. So that was the perfect storm of acting. So you can always make something kinetic and beautiful every single take.
Yeah, I definitely think that comes through. I especially love that one scene where Jeffrey Wright is prying at you about the Pasadena incident, and the way that your character reacts to it in that moment is absolutely heartbreaking, because you can see how much he's trying to internally hold it within, and it's just destroying him on the inside.
Yes, absolutely. That was I just listened to Jeffrey and let the bottom drop out of Bayard Rustin. Because that was it. He could not have a facade at all. And it was his, we were watching him crumble and watching all that confidence implode.
And I think I told you this the other day too, that throughout this movie, there are a number of stand up and cheer, fist pumping moments. I'm curious to know, have you had a chance yet to experience in a theater when an audience gets a chance to react to one of your show stopping monologues?
I did. I was at the in Washington, D.C. for the very first screening that I'd seen that was introduced by President Obama and Michelle Obama. And it was for the HBCU First Look Film Festival. It's the first of its kind, which is great, supporting historically Black colleges. And so there was Howard University and another school, Morgan State. So it was like a whole audience of 19, 20-year-old kids. These were the kids that were the same age of the people who were helping Bayard organize the March on Washington. And they were it was robust and gasps and lots of applause. And it really was like a call and response. And I think that's the beautiful thing. And I think you don't get that a lot in the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
You get that when something has a bit of stagecraft to it.
Yeah.
It feels like theater in that way. Like, you know that you have permission to respond.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've been in a theater to experience that. And it happened at least like 6 times, you know, which was great. And then at the end, everyone was sobbing, which was beautiful. It really felt like a shared experience that you would get in the theater.
Yeah, I definitely hear you on that for sure. And it's refreshing to see that in this type of theatrical experience versus a $200 million theatrical experience every now and then. So I'm with you. Tell me a little bit about also too the friendship that he had with Martin Luther King, because one of the things that I liked about I guess you could call it conflict within this movie is how Martin Luther King is his friend, but he's reluctant to essentially back his friend when the timing is convenient or the timing is inconvenient for their friendship. And so it kind of like builds to this moment where he publicly endorses Rustin by the end of the film. And I just found that to be so heartwarming because at the end of the day, he just really wanted that validation from his friend, and who could not be moved by that?
Yeah, you know, there's I was discussing this with a friend the other day. There's, especially in the 1960s, when people were a bit, shall I say, a bit more conservative when it comes to relationships with openly queer people.
Yeah.
And if someone had, and some cisgendered, you know, man had a deep friendship, a close brotherhood with this openly queer man, everyone in the world assumes it's sexual. They because they're just sexualizing the queer person. They're not thinking ideas or anything else human. They're just thinking sex, because that's all they can focus on. So of course, people, that was the thing surrounding them. That was like, it was rumor, hearsay, you know, and they were trying to, you know, I feel like navigate a true friendship and true brotherhood. I think there's even like a picture of them, I think somewhere, like when, like, you know, I think Bayard is talking about something and Martin is taking a bath or something like that. I know that there's a photo out there in the world, and you know that seems very suggestive, but it truly was. I think Bayard has a shirt and tie on, and they're just talking like brothers do.
Yeah.
But they were, so that was part of the thing that they were combating at that time, and you know, and also the movement was very conservative and really trying to. I think the way Black folks believed that we needed to move forward was as a unified front. This is the way we present ourselves, and the queer person had no place in it.
Yeah,
you know, and so was part of the push and pull with their friendship, and that was definitely a break for them. And I think it hurt Bayard deeply, and I think it hurt Martin as well, because Martin was sort of between a rock and a hard place as well. So, so that evolution, and what I love is that the Martin in our film is not Martin after the "I Have a Dream" speech. He's a young man who's trying to navigate being a thoughtful leader, actually, someone that Bayard has supported and has poured his beliefs into as well. So I think that's the thing that navigating. And by the end of the film, you see Martin, when Martin publicly comes out to shed light and love on his friend and make sure that he still has his position as deputy director to complete this mission of the March on Washington. It's part of Martin's growth. We see him grow, and then we see now he becomes the superstar that he was meant to be.
Yeah. You mentioned Barack and Michelle Obama before. What was their feedback to your performance into the film?
They've been very, very complimentary. They've been very happy with it, especially for their first narrative feature. They both have given me a lot of praise and love and support. And this is very near and dear to their hearts, because Bayard Rustin actually, what Barack Obama said in DC, he said, if there was no Bayard Rustin, for sure there would be no me.
Yeah.
Because he said, I'm very much inspired by Bayard Rustin.
Yeah. That says it all right there. Colman, we're out of time here, but I want to just compliment you one more time on such a phenomenal performance that captivated me from start to finish. And I also want to add a little tidbit here. Usually we ask our guests what they have coming up next in the future, but I already know because I saw your wonderful performance in Sing Sing at TIFF, and I cannot wait to have audiences experience that next year.
Thank you. And then and they can stay tuned for Color Purple on Christmas Day.
That too. I'm seeing it this week. I can't wait.
Oh man, good. I'll see. I can't wait for you to see it, man. It's something special, and I'm not hyping it up. It is very special.
It's the year of Colman Domingo, and that in itself is special. Thank you once again for your time. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you, Matt. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.